Good morning, beloved friends. I'm Reverend Kyra, and it is, as always, an honor and a privilege to be with you, to say, yes, I feel the power of Spirit right here and right now, moving through our world and moving through each one of us during these times of transformation, of our acknowledging the truth of our being in the midst of the changing landscape of the world. And certainly it is changing because people are awakening to the truth of who they are. They're opening their hearts and minds to the dream that is their dream. We know that as we come into this weekend, we'll be celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day and the awareness of his I Have a Dream speech, which I call a dream for all time because it was a vision. He was a visionary and he was a motivator. He was able to bring forth a vision for our world that we still open our hearts and our beings and are touched by to this day. I was just listening to his I Have a Dream speech again and recognizing in fact, I can hardly speak to it, the power of that throughout my whole life, of someone who held a vision that is near and dear to my heart, was the truth that could rally hundreds of thousands of people to come because we are called to know a higher truth, to bring that into realization in our world, not just as a concept, but as a living reality and presence. Each one of us have had moments in our own lives where we have felt the interconnection of all life. As that we've opened, whether we call it Holy Spirit or we call it divine grace or we call it the Christ within, we have opened to some awareness that is beyond this realm and allowed it to guide and move us forward in ways that are significant to ourselves and to the world, where we're willing to let go of outdated beliefs, of places where we've held prejudice or judgment or separation consciousness of any type. There was a book I read years ago on Martin Luther King. It said, I think it was called On the Mountaintop or To the Mountaintop. I forget the exact title right now. But it really described his relationship to that greater awareness, to that mountaintop consciousness, and his commitment to bring it here into this realm. And he did that powerfully and inspired a nation, inspired so many of us. And yet we also know that there are so many more steps to go to bring the dream into reality in our world, where every single person feels safe in the world, feels connected to one another without judgment or prejudice, without a sense of separation. And it begins, as we know spiritually, with our awareness of our oneness with it. That when we are unified and united with ourselves, and we clarify those places where we keep ourselves in separation from our infinite divine self, from that which knows the truth of all existence. And we begin to unify here and now in our physical embodiment, in the mind not having the say-so with thoughts that are just thought emanation that live on, or the feelings that have been ancient feelings that were generated by our ancestors or by others, that we instead put deep thought into what is true for me. Why would I carry this belief forward or this idea that creates further angst and separation, creates anger within me, or a sense of somehow righteousness or unrighteousness? All those places where we create a separation between ourselves and another who are made of the same stardust, who are made of the same earth, who are living in this reality. We are meant to come into a place where we identify and live from the greater dream of our own truth, our own realization of a truth that is eternal. And we may get to it by different paths, by different ways of worship, by different experiences. by logic or by devotion, by the experience of Spirit's movement in our lives, by the experience of grace showing up in the most profound and significant ways in our lives that are undeniable, that it is not something we could create, and yet either saved our lives, opened our awareness, took us into a deeper realization that we are not alone. This is a time for us to call forth a dream for all time. Martin Luther King Jr. did that. In his I Have a Dream, he described a reality that was beyond the current understanding and yet had the capability of bringing forth divine awareness into everyday experience. Will you join me in creating a dream? In creating a dream for all time of peace upon this planet, of peace inside our own being, of harmony in our soul and ability to unify and relate and open our heart and being to every person, to every creature of this earth, to the Mother Gaia, Pachamama, to this beloved planet, to our home. When we feel at home in ourselves and decide to care for our own being and have a dream of living in alignment with a higher experience and open to the infinite realms of possibility that are communicating with us every moment, then we cannot help but create a new reality out in the outer experience. So let us begin with, what is that dream? What does it look like and taste like and feel like to walk through the world in security, in a sense of oneness with each other, curious, discovering the wonders of each person we meet, the amazing minds and hearts and lives that are making a difference on this planet. There's no one here that isn't making a difference. And if we embrace and know that truth and begin to honor and celebrate and unify that within and without, we will create a different kind of world, one that matches the dream. Because as we hold that vibration, that frequency of light and love, and that is happening more and more and more. More groups are coming together and meditating together across the planet at different key points of activation. And it is unifying our consciousness. It's opening the ley lines and the energy systems of our Mother Earth. It's opening our own nadis or our own consciousness and the flow of energies through us, to where we live from that higher consciousness, that higher vibrational frequency within ourselves. And we find healing and wholeness is happening in more spontaneous ways. That our prayers that come together, our meditations, our prayers are seeing one another for the beauty and magnificence that is alive within them. That it cannot be denied, and it is bubbling forth in our souls. And it's bubbling out in the ways that we're showing up in the health situations that then are suddenly healed, in the experience of remembering who we truly are as a divine expression. It is a powerful time for us to honor that which is arising from within us. We remember those who have magnified and illuminated that awareness and brought it to us. And we go into that experience with them to open ourselves even more fully to that which illuminates our own soul, to the highest expression of our own selves, that we may be a visionary. We may be an inspiration in the world. I invite you, what is it in you that is that higher truth, that higher grace that wishes to express, that passion within you for a world that truly signifies we have come into a new era of peace, of love, of awakening for all. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are creating a new human experience that is true to our spiritual essence. It begins in me, it begins in you, and I invite us each to open our heart, mind, and being. What is the dream that you have that is not just out of sight, it is in sight. And we bring it into this world by our claiming and knowing that truth. God bless you, friends. Have a powerful, powerful, inspired week. Inspire yourself with your highest thoughts and your ways of being and the words that you say. I'd love to invite you to come share with us at Unity Bay Area, Houston at 1911 Highway 3 South on Sunday at 10:30 a.m., where we will inspire one another and hear the power of that inner spirit, that inspiration. And I wish to invite you to come, if you can't be there in person, to join us on our Facebook live stream at 10:30 at Unity Bay Area, Houston. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, live fully your dream. Your voice, your presence, your power is needed to bring this into fruition. God bless you, friends. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful, inspired week.